Oh, we're live!
So is now for me. Dang, well, we'll just have to do that another time.
No, that you should have started.
Oh, I should have started. Oh no!
So hurry up.
All right, let's catch up then.
Welcome everybody, Wolfmas 2019.
Yeah, my
we
God,
we made it.
Wow. So if you are tuning into this, you probably know who we are, but just in case we have any new listeners, and this is your first Wolf 359 stream. My name is Gabriel Urbina. I'm the creator of Wolf 359.
I'm Zach Valenti. I've played a number of characters.
Playing a number of characters makes it sound like you were just like all the extras in the scenes, which you usually were.
I disappeared into the background.
He was Doug Eiffel. He was Alexander Hilbert and his many other aliases. He was Samuel Lambert. He was the heart and show of that show.
I don't know who you're talking about.
Oop. Just jumping into that chat so we can chat with all y'all.
Yeah. So, we here at Wolf 359, we love to do things for the end of the year holidays. 3 out of our 4 season finales came out on December 25th. So we are always nostalgic around the holidays, and we always like to do things. So last year we released our e-book version of Price and Carter for the end of the year. And this year we also wanted to spend a little time with Wolf 359 and share a couple of new things.
2 years too late. Something.
What is that? What is that thing you're wearing?
This is something I've been dreaming about for years.
This man has worked tirelessly to make this happen.
Well, so my thing about everything from making podcasts to making t-shirts is to make something that I would want to consume or enjoy.
Right.
And the last thing I wanted to do was take a square and put it on a shirt and put it in the store.
Right.
And so yeah. So
especially square, it has kind of...
And so it works. I like it. Whereas the logo, we tried it, I hated it, and
then we did that again like another 15 times.
Wasn't willing to do it, and I was just like, at some point we're gonna do this thing where we get all of the graphics from the shirt and then like put them in the shirt without the border, and and then I found out that that's not something that they could do. But then Printful invented this. Printful, our fulfillment company, invented this thing called an all-over shirt, where you can print all over the shirt. So that's how there's like stars on the shoulder. And so this is the logo shirt that we've been working on
the
for
long
years.
time coming logo shirt.
Complete with the back.
Ooh.
Why is it blue? They'll ask, and you'll say, that's a long story.
But yeah, no, long story short, we finally have an official Wolf 359 shirt with the... Oh no.
Oh man.
All right, gang, you know how this is. It is not a Wolf 359 stream without some technical difficulties. So we are going to do a little bit of troubleshooting, and hopefully we'll get things sorted out. Mondays probably feels a little bit of nostalgia right now. There was kind of a recurring joke of the first and it is one of those things that streaming is kind of a...
Okay, let's see if that fixes it at all.
Yeah. Any better? Any worse?
I don't know. I just, I took it down to put it back. Let's see.
Guys, please, let us know in the chat.
Is.
It kind of is. It's kind of better.
How's this? Any better? Let's riff for a minute.
All right, riff.
How's your year been?
It's been good. We've made a lot of jokes recently about 2019 has felt like it's been going on forever.
Yes.
I feel that 2017 went by like that.
Right, it's the Dr. Manhattan of years. It's always been happening.
No, actually, though. 2017, 2018, 2016,
yeah.
All of them went by like that.
Yeah.
Some of them were more traumatic than others, don't get me wrong. 2019, I feel like we've been in longer than we were in all those 3 of those years combined. But it's also been a year of getting to do a lot of really, really cool stuff. We produced kind of our first full series since we made Wolf 359. We spent a whole year...
0 hours.
That's right, 0 hours. You should check it out.
zerohourspodcast.com if you're not aware.
That's right. The 2 of us and Sarah spent a full year doing our first nonfiction show with No Bad Ideas, which folks should check out. That's also very fun. We created an online course. We
Oh
created...
my God, audiofiction101.com.
Yeah?
I'm just going to keep saying...
No, keep those plugs
Yeah.
coming. We worked for other people. We created shows for other people. We did writing for other people. It's been a good year. It's just been a very long and exhausting
year.
one. Yeah, no. And I kind of feel that end of decade years, they kind of go out kicking and screaming. I kind of remember 2009 also being a year that kicked my butt. And I
Wow.
kind of remember that year being very long, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey.
So.
It sounds like it's a lot better, which I'm thrilled to hear. In case it really cut out and nobody heard, which I think people got the memo. We
But-
finally got to make the Dream logo shirt, complete with... So the idea behind this was that it simulates the physical reality of the radio floating in front of Wolf 359, so that when you walk around the person or when somebody walks around you, it's like they're walking around the radio. And then they are the blue star, shining the light onto
That's
the
right.
back of the radio. That is available right now at store.wolf359.fm. And it's there's a new and noteworthy section in the main page. It's also in the shirts collection, but it should just be right there. We have different dimensions for female, male body types. You can look at the sizing on the website. That's all available there. And let's see. There's one more thing that you guys should know about it, and that is that if you order it before the 13th with standard shipping in the U.S., it should make it before the holidays.
Yeah.
And then there's some rush delivery options for a little bit later, and I think if you're international and you order it now with rush, you should get it, depending on where you are. If you search for Printful holiday shipping guide, those are the dates.
Yeah.
And so, yeah.
But just in general, I think the rule is if it is important to you to have this by the 25th, I think the rule is sometime this week.
Yeah.
I think that sometime before Friday is sort of the safe zone. And after that, you start to get into some more exciting territories. So, if much like Sterling Archer, you enjoyed the danger zone, then, you can do what you will. But if you are really, really, really invested in kind of hitting a by December 25th space, this week is probably when you want to get your orders in.
And I saw somebody, Gary Brendholt, asks, is there anywhere you can buy a physical copy of the Price and Carter DSSP PM?
No.
We wish maybe someday, and I think as technology makes it easier for us to make things, the reality is in 2019, print-on-demand services for books ain't as easy as shirts, unfortunately,
Yep.
and it's a heavy lift, especially because the dimensions that we made the digital book.
No, real...
Print real funny. I think it would have to be in several volumes. But
No.
yeah.
Real talk, guys. I think that anybody that has seen the digital version of the manual knows how much the kind of look and feel and the typeset of it is a part of the experience.
Yes.
And we worked with a brilliant designer called Kate Leidenheim. And if anybody needs a brilliant graphics designer, they are absolutely someone that you should talk to. We spent a lot of time talking with her, and at a certain point, she kind of went should I design something that will provide the fullest experience? Or should I design something that can be more flexible towards the possibility of maybe someday later on down the line it existing in different forms? And much like with the shirt, we kind of went, no, we want to give you the best experience for what we know we can give you.
Right.
And so the manual is the way that it is, and it looks brilliant, and it is amazing. But it is very much designed to exist in digital. And creating a version of it that will exist in physical is not just a matter of binding that version, but probably a matter of doing a certain amount of redesign. So I'm not saying never. I'm not saying that it will never happen. I'm just kind of letting you guys into our head for why the things that are available the way they are, and why certain things are still kind of in the lab, and we don't know when the lab will kind of figure out a way to make it cost-effective and feasible for us to get them to you.
But believe you me, the second we figure that out, you'll know. In the meantime, I see somebody, Maple. Oh man, all my Wolf 359 knowledge is slowly coming back to me. I gotta do a re-listen.
Mm-hmm.
Well, lucky you, for one episode's worth. That's what we're here for.
Yeah, that is. But before we do that, we're gonna talk about one more thing.
Yes, well, two, because somebody also asked what we're drinking. And the answer is tea.
Yes.
The difference between now and 3 years ago, tea.
That's right.
Not
yeah.
that we weren't drinking tea, but I feel like we were, did we drink?
It kind of depends.
Yeah.
If any of you were Patreon supporters back in the day, during
Once in a
those
while,
AMAs,
yeah.
every now and then,
Have a
you
beer-
saw
a
us.
beer
You saw
ski.
us having a brewski while we were answering questions, which, looking back, is perhaps a risky decision. But
We made a lot of risky decisions
That's
back
true.
then, like
That's
making
true.
a podcast.
But no, that actually leads me to the second thing that I wanted to mention, which is that we also made another new thing available on our store this month.
Mm-hmm.
And that is that for the 2 years that we were on Patreon, and the 2 years that so many amazing listeners supported us and helped us make the show and helped us make it big and exciting and amazing, we were generating a ton of behind-the-scenes things for them. We were generating a ton of AMA videos. We were generating
This whole manual deal.
yeah, well, no, but we were doing like video tutorials, and we were doing this entire like sister podcast to Wolf 359 that covered the making of the show. And for a long time, those were kind of basically in the Disney vault. It was one of those like, well, they're really only available if you supported us back in the day. We finally put them up for sale on the store. So for everyone that has ever messaged us kind of going, love the show, I so wish that I had found it back in, say, like 2017 when the Patreon existed, now's your chance to kind of really hit two birds with a single stone, because you get to have all of the things that we made for the Patreon supporters, and you get to support the people that made the show, because the proceeds from those sales are going to pay the cast and the crew, as are the proceeds from basically everything on the store. They all
Everything
go.
Wolf 359 related gets split among the cast and crew according to years, and we have a whole system worked out, an agreement with everybody, and we just love to, at the end of a year, pay back the amazing work that was done over those years.
That's right.
So every dollar counts, and
Yeah.
we can't be more proud of the stuff that we've gotten in the store. In stores, in store, for you, in the store.
Excellent.
Welcome
All
to
right.
another live stream. So that's all at store.wolf359.fm.
Let me.
Someone didn't silence their phones.
Let me shut up my
1 second.
phone.
I'm going to get my shame bell. Shame.
Oh, no.
Ding, ding,
Ding,
shame.
ding, shame.
Ding, shame, ding, ding. 1 second, I got to put my shame bell down. Object work. Gotta keep it up.
All right.
Somebody said they're Ladybug Laura. My friends refuse to finish Wolf 359. Can you convince them to finish it? I have a very convincing case to make.
Uh-huh.
And I'm going to make it at the end of the stream.
Okay. I will say that I think that Brave New World, the last episode, the more I think about it, is in many ways one of the most, like, Wolf 359 concentrate sort of episodes. Like, it's one of the ones that is, like, the most Wolf 359-y. And I think part of that was that it was very consciously designed to kind of be, like, everyone is going to get, like, a very big moment, and Eiffel's going to be the most Eiffel that he can be, and Minkowski's going to be the most Minkowski that she can be, and so on. So if your friend is someone that is enjoying Wolf 359, I would just tell them that at the end of the journey, there is kind of like a big 2-hour love letter to everything that is the show. And if they don't want to finish it because they're like, this show's not for me, I don't think I like it, they don't need to finish it. It's okay.
And if, I was going to say, okay, never mind.
Were you about to kind of be like, you can always just...
Well, I was going to say, if they're not going to finish it because they don't like it, then you can tell them that they'll have something to tell you that it sucks for. No, I don't know. If they don't like it, maybe they just shouldn't do that.
Indeed. Yep.
But yeah, I highly encourage them. How about this? Instead of forgetting it at the end of the stream, which I feel like may happen, I'm just gonna say, Alice and Grace, prove it to yourselves that you can be bigger than your first impressions. I don't know. This is what happens when we go live.
Yeah, no.
Stupid shit gets said. But yeah, I think it's worth it. It's good radio.
Yeah.
Without further ado.
Yeah, shall we listen to some radio? We do have the results.
Drum rolls.
We let you guys vote between 4 different episodes for what we would be re-listening to tonight. And a ton of people voted. I think that by the end of the poll we had over 500 votes, if I'm not mistaken, which is amazing. And by sort of popular consensus, tonight we're going to be listening to episode 34, A Matter of Perspective, from season 3.
All right. That's not an error. That's just some BS.
Something's popping up in Zach's screen.
I'm just nervous.
And when things pop up in a stream, it's usually something that is going, hey, everything just went terribly wrong, and you are no longer streaming.
Vamp while I get this going.
I was kind of hoping that A Matter of Perspective...
That was a perfect amount of vamping.
I'm
ready to go.
All right, great. Never mind. I don't need to say the rest of that story.
Well, maybe intro the episode.
I was gonna say, I was hoping that this would be that this might be the one that wins, because it is one of the few Wolf 359 holiday episodes that are not filled with death and dying and terrible things. It is kind of one of the few ones where it is a little bit Christmassy and a little bit about the holidays, rather than simply a sort of terrible emotional ordeal that we just happen to set in the holidays. So, listening to it in December for Wolfmas, I think that this is a good episode to go back to.
We tried to set the levels between the two, between us talking over it. If it is super problematic, let me know in the chat. I'll keep an eye on that, and we'll try to fix it. There's only so much we can do to fix it.
Oh, also, by the way, guys, we are going to be spoiling the shit out of everything. We're going to be talking about this episode, assuming that you've already heard it. We're going to even be talking about things later in the series, assuming that you've heard that.
Oh, yeah.
So,
spoiler alerts.
Yeah, so if you just happen to have just finished listening to Don't Poke the Bear, and you're kind of going, perfect, I'm going to just, roll right into this live stream. No, this should not be the first time that you're listening to A Matter of Perspective. You can always bookmark this page and come back to it later.
Okay, without further ado.
So I'm curious, Zach, when is the last time that you sort of heard...
Officer Eiffel? Time frame?
The Matter of Perspective?
Or just kind of Wolf 359 episodes in general.
Oh, man, I want to say the finale.
Wow.
Yeah,
that
I don't think I've done a re-listen since.
I haven't either. I definitely have not started at the beginning.
Yeah.
Every now and then I do have a moment where I'm trying to remember something, and so I check out a specific scene or something.
2 minutes.
I don't think that I've listened to this episode all the way through since it started.
Sorry, the chat was very, very active coming back to it. Yeah, it has been a long time, and it's one of those things that yeah, the episode audio is meant to be quiet so that you can still understand us. I think this... Yeah, I don't know. I think it's fine. I'd rather it be too quiet than too loud.
You're still on the clock, aren't you?
And if we don't talk, I think you can hear it. But, yeah, I've been thinking about, sometime in the next year or so doing okay, it's too low. I'm going to raise it.
You're going to boost it up a little bit?
Why
don't we boost it and maybe go back to the beginning again?
Sure.
Yeah.
Got a good one.
See, guys? Live streams. It's always about just the back and forth and the technicalness of it all.
Could I just finish sending these transmissions? please.
How's that, everybody?
But there are still 3
Question mark.
minutes on the
Better.
clock.
Words.
So this salesman, he's driving around the country going from town to town. One night he ends up sleeping at this farmhouse. Next morning when he wakes up,
Okay,
he sees the
I got
farmer
one
rounding
better.
up his sheep.
Any more betters?
Then
Louder?
there's something strange. The
Return of
farmer
the
isn't
Texas
using a
chair.
sheepdog.
All right.
He's
I'm gonna
using a
start
pig.
over.
And not just any pig.
Okay, that's better.
It's a pig like
You know, guys, we always say this, or at least we try to, but we really, really appreciate you guys. Like, we feel like we have the best audience in the world, and you sort of really help us to kind of like figure out what we're doing, and that I think has been the case since day one of Wolf 359.
And to say thank you, I'm going to show you something fun about the Texas chair.
how much longer?
Getting these files pulse beacon relayed isn't this.
You can sit in it
just
like this.
sending a text, Colonel.
How
Okay.
much longer?
So I'm pretty sure
2 minutes?
Good.
that matter of perspective, this thing that we're
wasn't so
listening
bad,
to
was
right
it?
now
Pig joke.
was...
Oh, yeah.
And that's just where my head's at. I saw somebody mention it. I'm like, I love that big joke.
Dr. Maxwell's report.
You know, that's one of those, like, I wish that I knew what the
who
origin
can't
of it
tell
was.
anymore.
Like, it's kind of one of those, like,
Anything.
urban joke things that I've, like, run into, like, at various points in my life from different
So
places. The most, like, credible sounding thing that I've ever
You're
heard
still on the
is,
clock, aren't you?
I think somebody once mentioned,
for about another
that
4 minutes.
it's
You have all of
originally
tomorrow
like a
off.
Roald
So why don't you
Dahl
just wrap this up?
story.
That way we
Oh,
can
wow.
get the clock out.
But I've never been able to sort of like track down what like the exact origin of this is. So if anybody knows
I've gotta go.
where this like pig story originally
Let
comes
us
from,
know
let us know.
in
I'm
chat.
always curious.
Could we not? It's late.
But I remember sort of
Please.
like feeling like, oh, this
Can I
is
just finish
a
sending these
very
transmissions?
Kepler kind of a joke, like a
Please.
very Kepler sort of a story.
Whoa, there's so much Kepler
But
flame right now.
There are still 3 minutes on the clock.
Yeah, matter
So
of
this
perspective,
sailor,
I think, was
He's
the
driving around
hardest
the country
to
going
write
from town
episode in
to
season
town.
3.
One night
Wow.
he ends up sleeping at this farmhouse.
Because
Next morning when he wakes up,
it
he
was
sees
one
the
of
farmer
those-
rounding up his sheep. But then he notices
now I'm
something
just
strange.
listening to Zag
The
Labresco
farmer
tell
is
you.
Kill this joke.
I know.
Like, absolutely
He's
murder
using
this
a
joke.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
not just any
Um,
pig. It's a pig.
no, but
like
you know,
no
like
other. He's
the
fast,
first
he's
half
strong,
of season
and
3
he's
was very
zipping
plot
all over
heavy.
the pasture,
Like, it's one of
despite the
those, like,
fact
when we
that
outlined
he's
it before
only
we started
got
writing it, there was a
3
lot of kind of
legs.
episode 1 needs to go from here to here.
looks like the
Episode 2
relay's
needs
gone
to be
through. I
Eiffel,
guess we
Lost in
can-
So the
Space.
salesman
Episode
goes
3
up
is
to
the
the farmer and he says,
integration.
Right.
Episodes
Excuse
3
me,
and 4,
how
you know,
come
like
that
so
pig's
on and
only
so
got
forth.
3 legs?
And this
And the
was
farmer
kind of the
goes,
one slot that was like,
"Let me tell you
and
about
here
that pig.
there's sort of like a tonal
That
backpedal,
pig
and you know, a
is
tonal. The
crazy
foot gets taken off the gas, and things kind of ease out for a little
He
bit,
doesn't
and the
just
characters
run
kind of get
He
to
also
talk to
grows
each
in the
other and get to
morning,
know each other a little
milks
bit
the
better.
cows in the
That's what needs to
afternoon,
happen in this
and
episode.
picks up the
And that's the kind of thing that
eggs
is
from the
murder as a
hen house
writer,
in the
because you're
evening.
kind of like,
That's awesome. If
I don't
could
have
just-
any events that need to happen, but I have this kind of emotional
pig can
trajectory
He
that needs to
counts better
happen.
than I
So
can.
how do we
Heck,
get there?
That pig
Yeah,
does all
and it's
of the
awful.
accounting for the farm,
And I
he
remember
fills out my tax forms
I had this
every
meeting
year.
with
Doesn't
you and
really want a
Sarah
great
that I
pig,
showed
but a
up
super story. Let me just go.
probably with like
So by now,
my
even
hair
the
standing
salesman
on
is
end
saying,
because I'd been pulling it so
"That's an
much.
amazing
And I kind of
pig."
went like, look, I have no
Farmer
fucking
goes,
idea what we're gonna do with
"I
episode
hate
34.
dumb.
Like it could be this, it could be
Years
that,
ago,
like it
my
could be this
house
other thing. I don't
caught
know. Like
on fire.
for all
The
like
pig
I think that I kind of know that just needs to be
And
Kepler,
he
Eiffel, and
got
Jacoby
water
talking
from
over
the
here, but I
river
don't know what the
to put
girls
out
are gonna do.
flames.
Like unless we want to have them like I don't know,
And
play a board game or
he
something.
fought
And Sarah
his
Shack was like
way
that.
through
Have them do
That's what they
that.
do, yeah.
And kids
And I think that we
were
spent like
unconscious,
40
and
minutes
he
discussing different board
dragged them
games
to
before it was
safety.
finally kind of like, no, it should be a board game that is impossible
Wait
to
for it.
follow, and it should be a board game that is
So now
impossible
the
to play.
salesman
Right.
is
And then we spent
really
40 minutes discussing
Goddamn, that
joke
really is
board
some
game
pig.
tino
But I still don't
before I
understand
think I
why he's
finally
only
went,
got
no,
three
it needs to
legs.
be something
The farmer
that
looks at the
sounds
salesman like he's the
incredibly
stupidest man in
inane
the
and
entire
incredibly
world, and he says,
simplistic. I don't know, like Funzo, but less dumb. And then like 20 minutes later, we're like, Funzo, there we go.
Yeah,
That's it. That's
It's exactly the right amount of dumb.
Our world, and he said,
And haven't people made Funzo at this
no,
point?
no. I insist. People have made
Well,
reflections.
Yeah,
Let's
right.
They've
right.
made shadows of Funzo
Hold on, I can
that
get it.
incorporate all of the mechanics that are discussed
sure
in
you
this
can,
episode,
sir.
which is unbelievable. And you are all maniacs if you've done that. Like, that is fantastic, and I love you all.
Is this?
Yeah.
You have not actually made Funzo unless you've created a game that has so many more mechanics and so many more things that a playthrough might realistically take 10 hours. Like, that is kind of like
Oh my god. And
that
that's
is-
a quick game.
That's a quick game. Yeah, exactly.
That's like somebody getting a golden loyalty card early.
Right, and it needs to kind of be a game.
Colonel Kessler,
What a fucking
dear
crazy.
listeners FM, bringing
It needs
you
to be
the
sort of a
very
game
best
that is a little bit
1890s.
broken by design, because clearly the makers kind of went, look, like, if you've been playing the game for 10 hours and you get to this nuclear winter round, there's a good chance that the golden loyalty card maybe just hasn't come up, and if that happens, then the game just ends, and it's okay, no winners.
Yeah.
Like, this is just part of the
Hey.
design of the game.
Funzo's like life. Sometimes nobody wins.
I feel like oftentimes nobody wins.
Yeah, right.
We lost the
But
signal.
yeah,
Get it back?
Maybe.
it was one of the few episodes of Wolf 359 I remember that was written without an outline.
Add 12
where I-
hours to the rotation.
because I just kind of went
Get
like,
everyone
oh, I
on their
want it to
feet and get a
feel
fresh pot of coffee started.
different and
This is
kind of,
going to be
like
a long
rhythmically very separate from the other episodes.
Wow.
Bad decisions. I think that Need to Know, which I was writing in concurrence with it, was written in about a tenth of the time that it took me to write A Matter of Perspective,
Welcome.
because that one was like,
59.
oh yeah. Moment of appreciation for the great Alan Rhodey, who I'm pretty sure this
So
amazing track that
let me
became
get this straight.
Tea out
Did
for
he
our
just
homie
literally-
already?
literally.
One of Michael's
Literally.
mysterious
It's
transmissions.
worth it. I'll clean my rug later.
But
Oh, fun
Then
fact.
we lost
This
it?
is the only
And
time
I
in
can't
the
go back to bed
series
because
where Emma Sherr-Zarko is
Secondary
recorded remotely.
observational site. If I focus
She had
zero in on
just
the signal
moved
again, it'll be better
to
to have two sets of sensors running
Colorado
instead of one.
when this
wow.
episode,
There and the
when like the
uranium
production for this
comes
episode
down,
came
we hear
out,
on Hephaestus's.
and this was kind of the one where we went,
but just so we're
let's try it,
completely
like let's see how it
we
goes.
don't have the signal.
And I maintain, I think that it sounds pretty good, but it is just noticeable. Like you can kind of catch that Emma's in a different space from
And is there
Cece, Michaela,
anything that we
and
can do to get
Michelle.
the signle back?
And so after this, we
Then why the hell am I
started
stuck here
to
for the
really
next 11
block.
and a half hours?
Oh my god. He's
Loveless
so
is
good.
great.
What does that even mean?
We started to
Means
kind of
we don't have
block
to do
production
anything in
a bunch of
particular.
episodes together whenever
Just
Emma was
need
in
to
New
be
York,
here.
because this is the one
Oh, come
episode
on.
that we
Lighten up,
went.
this might be
No,
fun.
we can tell
How
that it
might
sounds
it be
ever so
fun?
slightly different.
Before
Yeah.
I came here, I conducted a search of the storerooms for any recreational supplies.
And how was that?
Very disappointing.
They're so mean. Like,
I did
like
find this.
it is.
What's that?
This is Funzo.
What the
oh
hell
my
is Funzo?
I have no idea. But according to the sticker on the box, it's the craziest board game of
Craziest.
1973.
Did you get that
Yes?
from The Most Dangerous
No.
Spy?
Oh,
do
that
worse.
that is maybe what it was. I think a reference to
Archer.
Sterling Archer. Yeah.
The animated series where they call him the most dangerous spy, and it's not necessarily in a good way.
Yeah. No, I think that it
All the
was. I
dangers
don't know
that
if I
you
was
will face in
thinking
the void of
specifically
space,
of Archer, but it's
Nothing
definitely a
compares to the
similar
existential terror that is Funzo.
a similar function of kind of, it's something that on the, when you look at it and just glance at it, you're kind of like, oh yeah, that's something that a marketing company might put on it. And then later on, it's like, oh, no, hang on a second.
No,
It's
no, no,
exactly
no, no.
what it says on the sticker. It is.
This was the people who published the DSM.
Yeah. yeah. Oh, it was.
That dial.
it was a
Yes.
blast to get to work with
What about that one?
Michelle and Cece and Emma and Michaela during the
What if we got a
Funzo
coat hanger
scenes.
and we just-
Like they were
So funny.
they were so terrifically funny and just like so game to just get super competitive and super ferocious about it.
So can we just assume
It was
that I'm
also a
doing
lot of
everything I can
fun
get
to
the signal
just kind
back?
of
You need to lighten up a
Um,
bit. Come on, we might actually be getting some alien
try to come up with
contact.
as many words
Night of
for
all
weird
nights.
game
Oh,
mechanics
yeah.
and put them all in there
Okay,
and just
won't,
kind
but
of
you still need to
rock
have a little
them.
fun
and I remember, I
with
think I sent like a message to
isn't
Michaela
fun.
Sweet, who I think like has the most of them, just kind of
All
being like,
non-essential
"I'm
systems
really
are going
sorry
dark
for all
now."
the inane things you're gonna have to
This
say
is
in
kinda
this
like a
episode."
story,
Yeah.
isn't it?
Because
Fun.
Michaela had to put up with a lot of weird things in the show, but most of it was things that at least sounded important. At least there was a lot of kind
long
of,
before I
we
get
were
that
able to
extra
reverse the
shot of
polarity
power
of the
receiver?
ion
Functions
defibrillator
right,
machine.
right.
This was
How
much
soon?
more of kind of
10
like,
minutes. You
you
said
gotta
20
go to the
minutes
golden
ago.
steps
You're
with the
doing
3
okay,
silver
Officer
monkeys
Eiffel.
and turn it
Fine.
around in order to roll the dice of
How's your
doom.
blood sugar?
No, I don't want a cookie.
But it was fun.
I want this friggin' signal to quit being a
Um,
tease and show up to the prom.
I'm going to
God,
get
I
you
remember also.
a
good.
cookie.
I
Create an
remember.
online Funzo and we can all play for at least a
What about
year.
that dial?
Just like the way that people play chess over mail, like play like move my move, play by post Funzo. That would take.
I think it's
forever.
more like how long it took Twitch to win Pokemon.
Right.
10,000 people were playing it simultaneously.
Risk. You think I don't know that?
Either way, whatever
Yeah.
happens,
um,
I'll do my best to back you up.
Okay.
no, and I think that like this is a little bit of what we were
I'm gonna go with the
so
wheel.
You got it.
of what we were doing with this episode and what I knew was important of
Time vortex.
every episode so far
lose all your
this
income
season
for the
had really
next
kind
few
of been
turns.
everyone
Wait. I've
kind
still
of
got,
dealing with life or death
hidden
things more or
inward
less.
discard.
Right.
That
It
should
was
be
one of
able
those
to
like,
cancel
oh
the
no,
time
these
vortex,
characters
right?
need this. Like these
No.
characters need
No?
a
This
moment where they can
is
just be
Hidden inward
annoyed
discard.
over
ridiculous.
petty things, be
You can only do that at the
ridiculous,
start of the
be
turn.
very
No, it's a
ferociously
blue
competitive
sapphire
about
card.
something
I
dumb.
thought you could play those at any time.
Oh, it's so good.
But we're still in the spy phase
I
for
definitely
another
hear the
3
difference.
turns. So Sapphire
You do.
Card can
You
I
absolutely
notice
do.
it more now than I did at the time, frankly.
Secondary
I think that all of our
effect?
ears
Yeah,
have gotten
so
a
if
lot
I were you,
sharper
I would
because we've been
save
doing
that
this
till
for
we
a
get
lot
to the next
longer.
loyalty round.
And I
This
think that
game makes
there's
no sense.
Oh, you guys
even
are
sort of
just
outside
upset
our
because you're
own
behind.
realm, a
I'm
lot
kind
more
of with
audio
Wolfmas on
fiction
this one.
shows that are
I'm not
being
even
made in
entirely
professional
sure what we're
studios
trying to
with
do
really
here.
nice setups. So I think that just as like as a community, our ears have just become much sharper.
Yeah.
Sunken idol. After that,
This, for
just keep
example.
going up the Celestial
my God.
steps, avoid the secret surveillance network, and make it to the
Take
Temple
a
of
peek at
Light
the
with
chat.
3 crowns
What's
of
going on
wisdom.
in here?
It's also one of these like I intentionally
Unless
made it a
someone plays
game.
sabotage card.
I love that of just kind of like her tone there of kind of
That's
well, of
certainly clearing
course,
everything
unless somebody
up.
pays a sabotage card.
Why are we playing this stupid game?
You got anything better to do?
I remember very
Alright,
intentionally
Impossible, are you gonna
making
play
the
another
game
card, or
have
do you wanna pass your
no
turn?
understandable
Pass.
theme.
My turn.
Like it's
Card,
sort of
please.
this weird combination
Okay,
of
you
like
gotta
medieval magic
well,
setting, but
distribution
also kind of
Discard
like
all of your team's
Soviet
power tokens?
Union era
And surrender all your
espionage
loyalty
and
cards to the other
political
team?
wheeling and dealing.
What the
Like it's
hell?
like Funzo includes everything.
You know,
Yeah.
maybe I haven't been giving
And
this
includes a
stupid
lot of
game
things that don't
enough
sound
of a chance.
particularly fun too. Just like a lot of kind of like big social constructs.
Oh, you're just upset because you guys are behind.
Yeah, come on.
You're just
You wanna sit
upset
around
because you're
talking?
losing.
Right.
Or do you want to play some
good.
Funzo?
Funzo.
Emma's just the best. God, this is really a walk down memory lane.
It is.
Having not listened to this in so long.
Yeah.
Eiffel.
You know, the other thing I remember is because this was an
Eiffel.
episode that came out in God, I want to say April or May.
I really don't know.
And we knew that just in the internal chronology of the show, it was around a full year since the end of the first season. But we wanted it to be a surprise that
Sir,
at the end of the
this
episode
is
it was
actually
Christmas
a
and it was
really
Eiffel's
complicated
birthday.
system. I need
So
to
all at the
focus if I
beginning
can
of
get
season
I
3, a lot of
understand
people
that
were sending us
perfectly,
messages being
but
like, when is the chronology? Hang on today. Like, what
I
date are
am
these episodes
the
happening?
commanding
And me
officer
having to
in
kind
this
of
room, and I
coyly
have asked
dodge a
you
lot
to
of
do
things
something
and kind of
for
being
me.
like, It's the second half of the year.
Yes.
Just because I knew that we wanted this to be a
Well.
surprise.
Is it an animal?
Is it an animal? No. No. It is not an animal. 18.
And I remember start of
Jacoby?
season 3 is when we
Okay.
really were
it
starting to
something
figure
that
out how to
exists
write
in the
episodes
real
that had
world?
like
Is
an
it
A story and a B story
something
happening in
that
parallel.
exists?
Like
Yeah.
all of season 2 and 1
Definitely.
kind of all have always like each episode has like a
A
story.
storyline, right. No, this is where it really started to mature into a more television mode
Right.
of
So kind of
AB and
yeah. Let's listen into this now.
I want to go to the steps.
How many tokens?
5.
Do you
Oh
wanna
my
drive
God,
the
it's so
Earth or
good.
lightning decks?
Lightning. Tornado. Great.
My turn.
Stop. Cultural appropriation. Lose a turn.
Revisionist history.
Suck it.
Zero. Chance call.
No, I'll take 2 at the wheel.
How many tokens do you bid?
6.
Raised to 9.
15.
Sold. Spin and.
Let's crank!
I got it.
My hand is on the timer.
Ref.
And see, and,
I died reading this script.
and that's a great.
I just died.
That's
It was such a radio thing.
That's
You can't do this in TV. I mean, you
exactly
can, but
no.
it's not the same.
It's not the same because you would kind of be
You'd have to be in
noticing.
close-ups.
And you'd notice kind of like, wait a minute, like why are we avoiding this side of the
corner of the
room?
table.
Why is exactly? It's a lot tougher to do, but I think that there's just something that is very pleasing about kind of being imagining this one way, and then kind of realizing like, oh God, at a certain point,
Hit your head in
they
the
kind of
gate.
went like, all right, hang on a second, no, this just got so convoluted. We actually need to go get Hilbert out of bed, get him to come in here and
Yeah,
rip
right,
this.
right. And he sounds as into it as you can imagine he would be. Is he like vaguely aroused by nuclear winter round?
No, I think that for me it's a lot of kind of like, what the hell is this game? He's just like flipping through this manual.
Americans have
All
such
right, little girl, what are
silly
you
idea
thinking?
of
How
entertainment.
about Loser
Right.
takes all the winner's late night surveillance rotations for a week?
How about a month?
No, and I
About
think
2
that was.
Done.
Great.
Sorry. I've also just like lived this experience of kind of sitting down with a group of friends with a
play a
board
board
game
game.
that nobody understands.
Right.
And the first hour, everyone is like,
What the
wait,
fuck
why?
is this game?
Why can I not play this right now? And there's sort of like the one person that kind of gets the rules, and very quickly everyone starts to kind of hate them.
Right.
But then somewhere around hour 3, all of a sudden everyone gets it, and all of a sudden everyone is kind of like, I do this, I do that. No, you don't. Card, backflip. No, this, not,
Right,
ha, that,
right.
play, blitzkrieg.
Yeah, right.
And it's a really amazing experience to
I
kind
think
of
I
go
need another
from
cup of coffee.
this is terrible, I don't understand
Another
it,
one of you gentlemen
to
want anything?
it is existentially
Yeah, right,
important
right,
that
right,
I
right.
win this stupid game.
Right.
What was I going to say? I think that Hilbert thing was also one of the last big
Everything all right,
structural
honey?
pieces
I
of
give up. I've tried
this
every
episode,
setting on this damn thing backwards and forwards.
because the concept was a little bit of kind of like, you split up the cast and you have like boys' night on the Urania and girls' night on the Hephaestus.
Out of an airlock.
But because of the events
tell.
of the previous
I know him.
episode where Kepler had just shut
Well, I
down
know him
Hilbert's
better than you do.
research, it was one of those
worked with
like,
him longer.
no,
I know him, he does
boys'
this.
night with Hilbert is a
you?
completely
Because
different thing
I have
because
no
it is
idea.
still about these two
Half the
people
time
are
I feel like
aggressively
I'm getting
hostile at
Right.
each other,
And the other
and that
half
is
you
just going
feel
to
he's about to
dominate.
shoot your brains
And
out.
then as soon as it kind of became like, no, I was like, no,
That's
it's
kind of the
boys'
shtick.
night, and then girls' night
Plus
plus
Hilbert.
Hilbert.
Yeah.
It was one of those like, okay, there we go. This
I
makes a
remember
lot
being in
more
Whole
sense.
Foods and being
Well, that's different.
completely sold on this
Yeah.
idea.
No, that
Because he
was
doesn't like Hilbert.
God, Whole Foods. That's right. because-
Hashtag a study in where there's free seating,
right.
like close to 24 hours.
No, and like,
First job I ever had with
and
the
this is
SI.
sort of like the sad reality of
Me
kind of,
and
like
then
if you
Major
were
Kepler were doing this
living in New York in the years
freaking
2015 through
sabotage
2017, there's a
We ended
good
up in
chance that you
sub-basement
sat in a
type place
Starbucks
when
or a Whole
something
Foods
goes
or a coffee shop where the three of us very loudly discussed the intricate details of many episodes of Wolf 359.
Demolition device gets armed.
I remember particularly one very close call where somebody was very kind to introduce themselves.
It is the one. I think it's the one time that somebody has approached us in the wild and kind of gone like, "I'm a huge fan of the show. Thank you guys so much."
And we had just been talking about like super spoilers.
We had just been talking about the end of season 3 because the first draft of Bolero existed, and it didn't work, and we were talking about what needed to change, and we were just like super loudly being like, what if Hera feels this about the people that died? What if this? What if that? What if, since, you know, these people are dead now, they do this? And it was one of those kind of, when this person came over,
Sweat.
we had no idea how much they'd heard. We had no idea how much they didn't know.
They're very kind.
But I remember this meeting. It did happen at a Whole Foods in Manhattan, which a lot of them have like very nice seating. And you can kind of get one cup of tea and just kind of like hang out there for years.
Table.
Yes.
Like a disproportionately large table, which we filled with index cards.
With index cards and notebooks and all kinds of things. And I remember, and that's where I was kind of, you know, with my crazy hair kind of going, I have this bad idea that doesn't work, and I have this bad idea that doesn't work.
He's being unkind. It was more put together than that. But
I don't think Colonel Kepler
we were there for a while.
But we were there for a while. And
that's how it goes.
Absolutely.
I think he's curious about how far you can go.
Quick, search the Whole Foods.
I'm not an idiot, you know. I see what he's doing. Just because
This was
he's the
also
enemy of Dr. Drago doesn't mean I'm gonna start thinking he's
one
my
of
friend.
those
So if
moments
that's his evil
where,
ulterior motive, then he can...
Please,
you know,
Eiffel. At any
the
given
scene
moment,
begins
Colonel
and I
Kepler's
didn't
about
know where it was going.
18
And I was very
ulterior
shocked when
motives.
all of a sudden I looked
Half
up
the
and I
time,
had
even
written this
I don't
story
know why he's doing
between
something.
that Jacoby
trust
tells
him with
Eiffel
my
between
life.
him and Kepler.
he tells you
And
to blow
again, it was
I
sort
blow
of
you up.
something that really came. I love that moment. That's a great little moment of kind of Jacoby being the kind of person that would share an intimate story and then kind of go like, "Oh, but by the way, I will still kill you if I need to."
Yeah.
But that was another story that I
Hey,
didn't know that about the
Hilbert's says it'll just
characters,
be another minute
but
before
it
they're
came
ready for
about
new
because it was
winter
what they
time.
needed in that moment, which
Okay.
is a scary but cool
you got
experience
there?
to write an episode that way.
Just an old photo. I
Now-
found this taped under Eiffel's comms
There's
panel.
zero gravity.
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
And board games involve
It is a
looks
magnetic
so-
board.
Happy?
Yeah.
thinks of everything, this guy.
I think-
Thinks of
I
everything.
don't think I've ever
I
seen
think
him.
that was Cece Lynn Jacobs asked me that when we were in rehearsal, and I had this like horrified moment of kind of, oh god.
Captain, we are ready to begin.
Yeah, let's
Bring
do
it.
this. Okay.
Now they were just talking about
Wow, the fucking
Nuclear winter
photograph.
round.
Yep, which
All
the
point values
script
are
I think
tripled.
explicitly
All
says that they put the
unplayed
photo
allegiance
down and
coins
it's
are
never
now
mentioned
void.
ever again, and it was
The
never
ancient
mentioned
history
ever again.
restriction is no
Yeah.
longer in effect.
And now that we know what we know about Eiffel and his family situation, I think it's very easy to have an
Lovelace,
educated
first
guess
round is to you.
about what was in there.
I'm gonna use
But
the silver ladder to get to the Golden Garden.
But it's
Do you
never
take
mentioned
this
ever
It's
again. Ash.
never
What
mentioned
else are
ever
we going to
again.
talk about tonight?
Oh,
Night of Valor.
no.
No adventure bonus for Lovelace.
telling you that
Wow,
Mike
Rena's
doesn't
like,
do
yes,
that.
it does.
I'm going to try the Wicked
because she
Carnival.
obviously read
You
it.
have 16
and
power
she-
tokens.
Yes.
Just purchase a ticket at the Devil's Crossroads. Are you taking the Sword of Courage?
Wait, no.
Now I remember you and I talking about.
To go with your first answer.
No, and like that's the thing. Like I remember you and I talking about Hilbert getting more into
Play
it
passes to Minkowski.
once it was starting to frustrate other people.
Yeah, right.
Once
Once he realizes that he gets to feed off of the frustration of others.
Right, like all of a sudden
gets-
he's
yeah.
enjoying it much more.
Right,
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 and I think he just kind of needed to get that to that level of
Right,
fluency
right,
with the
right.
rules
Next
to be able to
60
kind of be
seconds.
like,
If I
no.
cannot do research, at least I can piece these people off.
Now.
Right. Now, and this is something that I still get questions about.
Hilbert?
Like the
What happens
golden
if none of
loyalty
us have the
card.
golden
Like people
loyalty
are often kind of like, what happened to the golden loyalty card? Did Cutter take it out? Like, did it go missing? Did like Victoire Fourier or Juan Hui take it out
Did
and
the
tear it
plant
out?
monster
Did the
eat
plant
it?
monster
Yeah.
eat it? No, like the golden loyalty card is somewhere in the game set. This is Funzo is just the kind of game where the makers intentionally made it possible that the golden loyalty card just had not come up from the deck.
Oh my god.
And this means that the game is over. Like, this is, nothing has gone wrong in the eyes of the designers.
10 hours and no one
This is
has
just
the
something that
stupid
can
card.
happen.
Kira, can't you do something?
Why can't you do something?
Something?
No.
So good.
There has to be something else we can do. There has to be a trick or a loophole or.
One of the first moments where we hear an SI5 person be genuinely kind of distraught was on Michelle right there.
It's so good.
Like, up to then, they had been, like, so completely in control, and it was fun to kind of get her to really be like, wait, no, this cannot be happening. Like, what are you talking about?
And I just love, I don't know, I remember being in a fiction class in college and the professor saying, if you really want to tease out a character for your reader, this was for fiction, novel, or sort of prose writing, have them play games and see how they behave playing games. And
What do you
so
think,
it's
sir?
fun to just have that
Time to
sort of
call it?
disarming.
Absolutely. No, games,
Cool.
rituals,
Could you give us
sort of
time for a
anything that is like, here's a set of rules, but there's still like some amount of wiggle room for you to do it your way. All of that is super telling.
Yeah.
Like, you know,
What's the problem?
I think that's why so many films have either
This?
like
All
people
of this?
like people's morning
I've been
routines
awake for
where you kind of get to see them like how they brush their
26
teeth
hours
and how they get
straight.
their
Right,
toast
right,
and how they
right.
dress.
Phone waiting for
I think the
a call that
similar
never
thing of
came.
kind of you get to really see people's
It's like my
character.
teenage love life played out on an intergalactic scale.
And that's
You know, I remember
Yes.
this scene and this
No.
episode really
I-
coming out of something that you said, Zach,
It's
during like
this-
the early
my
planning.
memory's
It's this place.
No, and I just remembered this actually, like when we were talking about like season 3 and like what we wanted it to do.
Them.
And I think that I was kind of really talking a lot about
Every
like,
time they call.
and then like, you know, this team shows up and it's like big and
pick up
epic
the
and we're gonna
phone
do
and
these like
everyone starts trying to
experimental
kill each
episodes and it's
other,
gonna
or
get
people's brains
really
get
dark and it's
harder,
gonna be
there's
suspense,
explosions and people
and
get
you kind of sort of went
I end
like,
up alone and
but there still needs to be some comedy. Like there still needs to be like a little bit of funny. Like I still want there to be kind of episodes that
can't do
are
this.
entertaining.
I can't.
And
just
not that the other
sit
stuff
here
isn't entertaining, but it isn't
wondering
entertaining,
if
but
this-
not the way that
this
something like
is
this
the
is.
night another part
I
of
think
my
it's
life
like
goes
we need the
crazy.
early listeners to feel rewarded that like this is
Exactly.
the show I fell in love with.
Exactly. Which was so smart and so necessary.
What?
And I think that I was
You
doing a
think
lot
when I
of
was
sort
young,
of
I
thinking
talked
about like,
this? About being
Where
How-
the hell does that go?
and also kind of like how what has
Things I wanted
changed
to
and
do,
what has kind of like
places I wanted
gone
to see, people
differently.
I wanted to be with, and
And I
that's
sort
all.
of like thinking a lot about like,
That's
oh, I think that
all
it's
gone.
the perspective. I don't think necessarily that
Because
the
this job
show has gotten
asks
less funny. It's now that we
everything
kind
of
of
me.
are like much more aware of all
It is
these other
demanded
things
that I
happening
give
around the
it every
characters.
inch of
Right.
my life.
And I think a lot of that came into this
You think you
particular
know
little
me?
speech.
That you met me? No.
And then Need
You've
to
met the
Know
artist formerly
was
known as Warren Kepler.
kind of a different version of that.
You've
Of
met
kind of
my
like,
job.
can we
Aside from that, there's
get
no
us in a
one left for
situation
you
that
to know.
zooms us
I'm
back
gone.
in? And people just
I've been
get like really
goddamn
swept up
canceled,
in
show's over, and there will be no encores.
all the gossip
that's
between the
left is-
characters.
Right.
Yeah.
This. Sitting here.
This was also the
Waiting for
episode where we realized that Zach Labresco was unstoppable. Like he
How do
just
you
like
live
has
that
so
way?
many tough monologues
How do
and
you not go
jokes and
crazy?
things, and he just makes them all sound so easy and so charming and so off the cuff.
Yeah.
He's so natural.
And fulfills
You
on
take it
our
one day at a time.
number one tone,
And you learn how to
emotional
laugh.
whiplash.
You start to see the
Right.
humor in everything, even the bad parts.
Yeah. And it's very like
Especially
us.
the bad
Like, you know, you have kind of an
Don't
episode
tell
that
me
is
I already got that line from Jacoby.
Yeah,
very
Jacoby's a
funny in
smart
almost
man.
every other scene. And the one scene that is an episode that is a character
the great
talking
thing
about,
about jokes?
you need to remember the funny stuff. It's kind of one of the
It's a
like
matter of perspective.
sadder and lower keyer and more like
Guy's
touching
going
scenes in
about
the
his day,
episode.
gets hit in the head with an
No.
anvil.
Not that that was intentional. It's things that I'm not realizing
standing next to
until
him.
re-listening to it now,
Most
2
horrible thing
years
you've
after the
ever
end of the
seen.
show, almost 3 years after the show, more than 3 years
You're a
after the
mile
episode went
off.
out.
Right.
No idea it even happened.
Mitz Ryan
What do
wants
you
to know,
care?
does Kepler have
But if
kids?
you look at it, just
No
the right
comment.
way,
Yeah. Every
what do you
incompetent
think your
person aboard the
perspective is,
Vestnet.
Officer Eichel?
Right, and that's one of those.
So Doug Eiffel.
All right.
It is
That's
kind of
12
one of those
hours.
things of like,
I think
I
we can
am
call it
so
a
much
night.
more interested in his dynamic.
Shut the equipment down, then get yourself some rack time.
I am so much more interested about like what his dynamic with the characters on the show says about what kind of father he would be, than about kind of like flattening him by either saying like, no, he does not have a family, or
I
yes,
just
he
remembered how that
absolutely
joke ended.
had a family somewhere else.
So the
Right.
salesman goes up to the farmer and he goes, "If that pig's so wonderful, how come it's only got 3 legs?"
Oh my god, it's
this-
so good.
Looks at him
This
like
accent
he's
was
just said the
Zach's idea. I remember
stupidest
that.
thing in the whole wide world, and he goes, "Look, when you got a pig that good, you don't eat it in a single sitting."
That's so good.
Yeah. And of course, when you have a joke that good, you don't tell it in a single sitting. You spread it all over an episode. Right. I think that this is an early kind of this leads nicely into kind of like their scene in Overture of the Space Mountain scene of kind of learning how to keep things in perspective.
What happened in here?
Don't ask.
What did you guys
good.
do all?
Don't ask.
Funzo? What the hell is
Don't ask.
Okay.
How was your night,
Oh
Officer
my
Eiffel?
god, it's so
Yeah.
tense.
You ever manage to get that signal back?
Really, this is an episode where a lot of things are never
12
mentioned
hours
ever
of
again.
babysitting
Funzo is
to
never
make a
mentioned
receiver,
ever
and all I've
again.
got
The
to show
photograph
for it
is
is
never
a
mentioned
bad
ever again.
migraine and a powerful urge to sleep through my first day off since dinosaurs roamed the
No.
earth.
I remember
just
Alan
make sure
saying
we
that
get
he
to see
wanted
some of
to
you today,
make a
alright?
different version
Yeah,
of
yeah.
kind of the what had become our
I'll make it
iPhone
out for
hero theme from the
presents
first 2 seasons.
Whatever we're doing
for the
our
3rd season,
attempted
something a little bit
murder-versary.
slower and more
That's not what I
atmospheric.
meant.
And this is the first time that it was ever used in the show.
Yeah. Happy birthday, Eiffel.
Happy birthday, Officer Eiffel.
And a happy Kwanzaa.
So soon.
Loveless.
Really is just,
Happy birthday,
just around the
Eiffel.
corner.
Yeah.
Thanks. Thank you, guys.
So, it's your birthday. What are you going to do today?
Aside from making up for all the sleep I didn't get last night, the same thing I do every night, Pinky. I'm gonna get older. I'm gonna get older.
Yeah. That was one of my favorite endings for episodes. That one I liked. I like a lot of this episode. One of the things that I don't like about it is just the memories of writing it, because it was really hard and stressful and took forever.
Yeah.
But once we're past that, it was a really fun episode to record. It was a really fun episode to edit. It's a really fun episode to re-listen. It's and I think that there's
This has been 359. By
oh, here's a
Kindly
question for
Genius
you.
Productions.
So I think that like this is an
Tonight's
episode
was
that
written and directed
is
by Gabriela Pena.
has really
roles
good
of Eiffel and
fanfic
Hilbert were
potential,
played by Zach
because people can
Valenti.
write about all the like
Roland
many
Minkowski
hours of
was played
Funzo
by
that we
Emma
didn't get
Sherr-Jarko.
to see.
Oh, shit.
Hero was
So my
played
question
by
for you,
Michaela
Zach,
Yes.
is
The role of Loveless
while the
was
show was
played by
going
Cecilia
on,
Lynn
we very
Hopkins.
publicly
The
said
role
many
of Kepler
times
was played by
we're
Zach
not going to
Libresco.
look at any
The
fan
role of
fiction
Jacoby
until the
was
show's
played
over,
by Norm
because
Mazer. And the
we don't
role
want to
Maxwell
kind
was
of,
played
as
by
writers,
Shane Presti.
Mind and steal
yeah,
people's
exactly,
ideas.
and like
Was
or
Humoresque number 7
you know,
by Antonin
or kind of
Dvorak.
if we see a really really good
Original
idea,
music by Alan Roney,
not
and
feel like
audio
we couldn't
recording
do
by
it
James
because
Schoen
somebody
and
else
Winston
thought of
Shaw.
it. So we kind of had like a very like
More
blanket
about the
policy of like no
existential
looking at fan
terror
fiction
that
while the
is
show is
Funzo.
ongoing. Have you, now that the show's been
Please
over for
supporting us
almost
on
2 years,
Patreon
have
at
you
patreon.com/wolf359
gone diving through the AO3 archives?
I have not.
I haven't either.
And I'm wondering,
to get full
do we need to
episodes
search
and
the name
extras,
of this episode?
or follow
in
us
AO3
Nah.
right now?
on Twitter at Wolf359
Oh God,
Radio for news
I
and
don't think
more.
the world is ready for that. I know that I'm not ready for it.
I think you can't stop me, Gabriel. Fantastic. Blue Star Mania. Did I not read some of that? I think I did do that. I did that on a Self-Care Sunday. And I think I involved Brigand Snow.
Oh wow! Oh my God!
And yeah, and that was rough.
Whoa!
In a great
so
way.
so Brigand actually did get to have like a little tiny slice of Wolf 359 involvement,
Oh, yeah.
I guess. Oh my god.
Oh, yeah.
Wow. For years, I think Sarah and I have been saying that one of the big things that we regretted about Wolf 359 was never finding a way to kind of get to work with Brigand, which is part of why.
Oh my god, there's Plant Monster Fix.
Of course there's Plant Monster
Wait,
Fix.
I made one. It was a 3-way between Doug, Hilbert, and the Plant Monster.
Now,
that was terrible.
for everyone that just did a double take, don't go looking for this, you sweet innocent childs.
It's definitely
You
not
are-
called Get Over Here, You Big Lug.
That is what it's called. Jesus. Yeah, that was like,
hideous.
man. No, and I remember like that was like
2015?
I think so. I think that was
Simpler times.
and like before the live show, like that was one of the kind of like in the
Whoa.
very, very, very early days of us actually having an audience.
Wow. Yeah, I was in Canada and got carried away.
That's right. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
Carried
Oh,
away
man.
in Canada. A Zach Valenti story.
Right. Well, what time is it?
Time, I think, for me to answer why you should finish Wolf 359.
Sure.
Because I have an answer.
And we can hang out for a couple more minutes and take some more questions, but we should run fairly soon. Ooh, what you got there, Zach?
My favorite quote. When I let go of what I am, I become what I might be. This is the Give a Man a Fish guy has this quote. Give a man a fish. Anyway, Lao Tzu. And I feel like this quote got me through some of the hardest times in my life because there's always something possible, even when it feels like there's not. And
Right.
it may take a certain amount of a tattoo that says, I am surrender, which sort of combines the meaning of this quote and a number of other quotes that I love. But the finale of Wolf 359 embodies this quote in a way that is impossible for me to summarize. And I think for that reason alone is worth your time.
And I think for a lot of characters. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Interesting.
Notice I didn't just say it was about Doug. No spoilers.
Interesting. Yeah, no. I know some people actually that have sort of listened to everything Wolf 359 related except for Brave New World. Because they don't want the series to be over. And I always say kind of like, well, you know, that's a legit choice if that's how you want to do it. But if you decide that you want to dive in, we really, really tried to make it kind of as full of an embodiment of the show as it could be, and as full a statement about what Wolf 359 meant to us and to all the people that had made it and to all the people that had listened to it as we could.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, thank you guys for joining us tonight. This
Yeah.
was such a pleasure. It is wonderful to be back with you, with
It's-
Texas Chair.
It's fun to re-listen to this after all this time.
Yeah.
Yeah. And just, we'd be remiss to not just like say this one more time. Again, guys, if you are thinking of buying any Wolf 359 stuff off the store as a Christmas present, whether to yourself or
Physical
to
goods.
someone
Digital
else.
goods will keep. But
Yeah, exactly.
Physical stuff that gets shipped out. December 13th in the U.S. is the last available date that Printful recommends for getting things before the holidays.
And just again, like, you can find the Printful recommendations, look up Printful shipping deadlines.
Holidays 2019.
Yeah, but we really kind of stress, like, you probably want to do it this week if you want to kind of
Right.
breathe the deep, reliefy air of someone that knows that they're going to get their stuff.
Right.
Um,
One more time for all you folks at home. Wow, chicka, wow, wow. Blue radio. Anyway.
well, that finally got weird.
I'm just going to keep doing that after we go live just for him. No, that's going to get weirder. Presses the button to go not live. No. This has been delightful, everybody.
Thank you all so much. It means so much to, after all this time, still have you guys hanging out with us, to still have you
Real.
joining us, to still have you voting on the poll about which episode we're going to listen to.
Oh, no. Arenas and the Giffers go wild.
Yeah,
Jeez. Got to be careful in these things.
And this was fun. We may do this again sometime in the not too distant future.
Cannot wait.
We'll see how it goes.
And rather than do the thing that I meant to do, I did the opposite. Okay, here we go. Getting ready to press that button.
That's right.
It's a sacred time in my live streams where I ineptly do one of the easier things, which is stop the stream. Okay, here we go.
All right, have a good night, guys. Nope. We're going to continue hanging out.
Oh, there's another one.